All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am istherenoonelse, and the video I'm bringing you today, we are going to go over another arrius fight. This time it's on my stamina necromancer. This will be very similar to the video I did last week going over magic of dragonknight. You know, it was a magic of dragonknight video talking about movement and teamwork and all that other fun stuff. And this fight's going to be just like that. You know, it's not just going to be us killing a bunch of people and winning the fight. It's, you know, going through the good and the bad, and, you know, just kind of about talking about my thought process at the time when we're fighting in these. So, you know, just like anybody else, you know, we're not always going to make the best moves. You know, sometimes we make mistakes, and that's what, you know, going back to look at fun fights like this are for. You know, you see where you messed up, you see where you can improve, you see, you know, what you could have done to change the outcome of the fight. And so this one was a long one. You know, we're inside arrius right now, and we are just taking the keep. You see we have a 5-man group on the top. One person had not shown up yet, so we only have 4 people inside right now. So we got the 2 of us plus the magsork. You see we got a bomber to the side. There were a few people inside the keep when we were sieging. Few, you know, resto heavy attacks, a few destro staffs, few frost heavies. Like, we knew there were a few people in here, and so I saw a bomber. I popped a detect bot, and, you know, bombers are very powerful right now. You know, they're very, very strong, and they can nuke somebody pretty quickly. You know, you know, bombers used to be one of those like hard counters to large group play, and now they're buffed to a point to where they can take out solo people pretty easily. You know, unless you're pretty tanky. But I mean, even on this specific build that I'm running right now, I got hit with a 13k soul tether yesterday, and so I'm not talking about nerfing, you know, bombers. I think bombers are actually in a great spot. I think it's great that they're viable. I think they're a great counter for large group play, and they can really change the outcome of the fight. And the reason I like them so much is, yes, they do hit hard. Yes, they are annoying to fight outnumbered. You know, like when we're fighting like 12 people and all of a sudden we got a bomber come in, it's rough. It is rough to deal with, but it's okay because of the risk reward factor, in my opinion. You know, if you're risking, you know, your entire health bar to go in to nuke, you know, 4, 5, 6 people, you're typically pretty squishy. You know, you're running divines, you're hitting hard, but you can also get hit hard. And so if people fail bomb on us, they die very fast. And so that's why I like that playstyle, is because it's high risk, it's high reward. You know, there's other playstyles, you know, I've talked about it quite a bit, where you don't really have any risk, and, you know, you still get high reward. And those are the type of playstyles I'd like to see get adjusted a little bit. But yeah, bombers isn't one of them. You know, we're going to see our group get hit by them quite a few times, and you know, they just hit hard, and that's okay. So at this point, you know, we got a few people that came inside. We killed a bunch of people on this back pin, and now we're going to push to the front. And at this point, we're just kind of coordinating together, trying to find the, you know, we're trying to find the people that are a little bit squishier. So order of kill, like the kill order that you go for groups would be the squishiest players first. So your bombers, your snipers. Typically, if you see somebody with a bow, or if you see somebody lining up with a proxydet, like right here, those are the guys you want to try and focus first. Those are guys you want to try and take out first, because, you know, if they're spec'd that way, they're probably hitting pretty hard. But like I said, it also means that they can be hit hard. So you see the bomber takes out him, and so now we got a few people up, and we have 3 people at the door. So I'm going to block this meteor. We only have 3 people in here versus a lot of them, and so we, you know, at this point I was just like, okay, we might need to back up. See, we got a bomber behind me coming in with a couple sap essences and everything. So I'm going to try and back up and line of sight around here around the pillar a little bit. We see this guy's taking damage. Sorry, we have a lot going on right now early on in this fight. But yeah, order of, like, my kill order is typically the squishiest players first. And then when everybody becomes equally as tanky, you know, when they're all just as hard to kill as everybody else, like everybody in their group is the same, I focus the healer next, because the healer is going to be the one that keeps everybody alive. And that's when I take out healers, and then you leave the tanks and the revivers, you know, the other guys that don't have as much utility as a healer for last. So at this point, like I said, we have 3, you know, it's just the 2 of us. You know, another person got bombed, and, you know, I'm like, oh crap. I got a bomber on me. I got a few people. So I just kind of peeled off over here. My buddy Bong is up top, and so I'm fighting a few people. We got a few more coming through the door, and so I'm just going to line a set around the tower here a little bit, make sure I got my heals going on, make sure I have the right pots up, and I'm going to group up with Bong up top, and we're going to see if we can take out a few people. He's on a tank right now, And now we got a werewolf, which is another tank. So we're just going to keep our buffs up once again. This guy's just holding block. I want to say that he was a Harbinger tank, but I could be wrong. We go to take out the bomber first, just like I showed you. I went to hit with a DB, but it got interrupted, luckily, because he was dead anyways. And so now I still get to use a DB. Bong drops a meteor here, really nice meteor. And so at this point, I'm going to hit a D-swing, blast bones. Dawnbreaker with the Mage's Wrath and the Execute. We get another quick kill there. And you see we got a guy that came around the side and he picked up the bombers. So we got a few Nightblades like hiding in the stealth. If they're hiding in stealth like that, they're either bombers or they're probably snipers. And so, you know, it's not the snipe damage that I'm worried about, it's the desync. And so I'm typically looking for places to line of sight. So you see the bomber come in, so I'm block casting, keep my heals up, staying topped off, and now I'm just going to break some distance, get away from the soul tether, get away from the sap essences. And I told Bong, like, hey, I'll meet you around back here, and he goes, I'm right behind you. So I thought he was going to go through this middle door here on my left, but he wasn't. He pops a health pot here, the werewolf does, and so he goes invisible. The new alliance health pots have invisibility attached to them, and you see the bomber come in and take out Bong, and I almost get taken out too. So now once again, we're just keep our buffs up. We get chained in, and this is where it's going to be problematic. You know, so if you run across, you see there we have a bomber, you see we have a werewolf, and we have a guy with chains, and he probably has talons. You know, if you're running chains, you're probably running talons. So we got a snare group, we got a defile, you know, werewolf running, you know, their natural defiles, you know, with their claws and everything, and we have snipers, and we have a bomber. And so we have a bunch of stuff going on, and you saw I was at low resources, and it's like, you know what, I have to get to a spot to where I can line of sight. If I try to stay up top in that tower there's no real place to line of sight, and they're going to constantly snare me in place, and they're going to constantly just lock me down. And although, you know, I'm running Race Against Time, and Race Against Time is quite nice, I don't have infinite snare removal. And so you see the bomber comes in. I got about 8 people on me at that point with Venomous Smite and a bunch of other really gross things. And so I'm just trying to stay alive. You know, I want to try and separate them. Just like on the Mag DK video, at this point, you know, it's just about survival. It's just about trying to get your ulti dumped to where you can line up burst on a few people and hopefully narrow it down to where you can kind of do something besides be on your back bar. You know, if I'm down on the first floor and they're constantly beating on me, yeah, I can stay alive for a little bit if I face tank 6, 7, 8 people. But if I stay in the same spot, that bomber has a really good chance to line up his proxy and soul tether. Like if you guys ever go watch a bomber, or if you've ever played a bomber, you know that stationary targets are the best things to fight on a bomber. So it's people, you know, if you're in Imperial City, it's people right after they've killed a boss. It's people after they've taken a resource. It's people on pins at a keep. Those are where the biggest bombs happen. You know, when they're not moving, when they're clearly at an objective, that's when the best chance for bombs will happen. And so you just don't let that happen. You know, if you know that there's a bomber in this group, you just keep moving, and it's going to be really hard for them to line up a bomb on you to really burst you down. And that's essentially what I'm doing right now. I'd love to take out the bomber first. That's kind of the goal. If I can get him, you know, to himself, that's the guy that I want to take out first. If I can take out the bomber, I can, you know, face tank a little bit more. I can focus different people and all these other sorts of things. So at this point, you see the werewolf is really hot on my heels. And so you see I got a few more people coming around the corner. And I have about 3 here right now. So I figured I'd go in and see if I can get a fight. I drop a DB, go for the execute, and I don't get the kill. And it almost kills me because I got the Venomous Smite proc on me and a bunch of other things. So now I have to do the run around the corner thing once again, get heals up, and you see now they got meat bags coming in. So now I have bombers, I have, you know, bow spammers, I have a werewolf with Crimson, and I have a guy dropping meat bags. And so we just got to keep kiting. You know, they're going to siege up top, and so we're just not going to allow that siege to really impact us, and they're dropping fear traps on us in different areas. And so at this point, I'm just going to stay in this middle room, kind of move around the sides here. We're going to go to a different spot we weren't really going to before and kind of change the direction on that bomber or on the sieger. And so you see we got a few people on top of us, so we're going to drop a blast bones with an execute. We get a quick kill there, so I'm going to dodge roll, cancel my vigor, and we're just going to line of sight around the corner. Once again, we got one more guy almost dead. I try to stay on this revive to bash it, but you see where my resources are at. I take the stun and I drop really low. I got 5 people on me, and I got another person here, and I have to change my plans. You know, sometimes you can't stay on a body. I'd love to keep the body down, but you see that the keep's not flipped either. It's not bursted anymore, so he can just come right back. There's no point in attempting to stay on that body. It's just stay alive, and hopefully you can get a chance to get a kill here. My blast bones was super drunk here. I summoned it on this person, and it didn't go off on them. It went off on the werewolf instead. So the DB does a bunch of damage. If the blast bones landed, I might have gotten that kill, but you know, we're not always so fortunate. We've got a few people here, so we're just going to line of sight around the corner once again. You see the Crimson proc, you see the Fear mid dodge roll. That was a really good Fear because it drained a bunch of my stam. And now I'm just going to keep line of sighting. You see the bomber come in, and so at this point, I see the bomber, and I'm going to try and take him out, and I get feared right before this happens. This would have been a great spot for immovable pots, you know. Immovable pots in a 1vx are fantastic. I was running tripots, and tripots are great too, obviously. But, you know, if you need those 2 to 3 seconds to kill somebody, especially when you have a werewolf howling you every 6-7 seconds off a cooldown, it gets really rough to get burst off. And that was part of the problem with this fight right here is I was just trying to get to a situation to where I'd have CC immunity, like I do right now, and then I could get a burst lined up, and it just never really worked out in that scenario. So you see we have the bomber right here. I go into some of the blast bones and he fears me right away, gives them just enough of a chance to get up top and start beating on me. You see we got the proxy deck coming in. I was about half health, so I decided to pop the shield ult. I can't stand popping a sword and board ult in 1vx because then that basically means that, you know, you don't get to use your Dawnbreaker. You have to wait a little bit longer to kill somebody, especially in a severely outnumbered fight like this. And so I was really disappointed, but you know, you do what you got to do to stay alive when you got this many people on you. So we're just going to kite up to the 3rd floor once again, hitting people with ransack. You see we got a guy by himself. At this point, you see the bomb. I've moved so much, the bomber didn't follow me. The bomber waited for me to jump down so he could bomb right there. So you see he's waiting downstairs, allows me to get a kill up top. And that's exactly what I was talking about, you know, with dealing with bombers is as long as you stay mobile, as long as you stay moving, it's really going to be harder for them to target you because they don't know where you're going to be. They have to bomb you in a stationary spot. And so at this point, you know, I stayed up top a little bit longer. Luckily, it was only just 2 people, so I was able to stay and kind of face tank and see if I could take this person out. I take a really nice stun there. We get a few more people coming up top, so I'm just going to have to line of sight, pop my potion. Now we're almost back to full resources. And yeah, that's... Bombers hit hard. I wish I could have taken them out sooner, but it just wasn't happening. So we just have the werewolf to ourselves right now, and you know, some people got bored. You see the keep got flipped or got bursted. My buddies are outside. They're bursting the front door, so some of the people that I killed couldn't come back right away. We got a few people here, so we're gonna drop a blast bones with a DB. We get 1 quick kill there, and at this point he drops an alliance pot, so he goes invisible. And he goes for the revive, so we're just going to bash that real quick. We're going to go for a couple D-swings. I could have summoned a Blast Bones, but I just went for the quick kill because, yeah, I mean, he was a lower CP guy, lower health. There was really no point to worry about it. Now at this point, I'm fighting a werewolf, and werewolves are tough to kill. I know this is brand new news to you guys talking about how tanky werewolves are, but you see he's running Crimson, you see he's very tanky, and it's going to be a tough battle. And the thing is what I'm trying to do in this fight is I want to see if I can drain his magic or sustain. And so my goal is to block every time the Crimson proc goes off, because how Crimson works is Crimson will give you healing based off of the damage dealt. So the more damage Crimson does, the more healing you get. That's why like Crimson people on enemy ads are so powerful, is because the enemy ads ignore Battle Spirit. And so you get crazy amounts of healing when you got Crimson up, you know, when you're on a resource. And so if you block it, it does less damage to you, which means it does less healing to them. And so you see he pops a health pot here, and he's still at half health, and he's not really able to recover because his mag sustain's lower because he's used to relying on Crimson. But the problem is you see I block it right here, and now he's finally back to full health. But the problem I had here was my buddy said, hey, you know, we got a bunch of people dropping oils on us up top. Can you come stop that? That'll help us. And I was like, okay, sounds good. You know, I'm just fighting a never-ending battle against a werewolf anyways. Might as well just go see if we can, you know, stop these oils and get my buddies inside. The goal is to get the keep and get a bigger fight, not settle 1v1, you know. So go out here, go to the top, and I realized what they meant was they thought I was on the inner keep, not on the outer, and they were working on the front door of the inner keep. And so I went all the way around, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll just bring everybody to you. We'll fight together. We'll get this front door down. So we got a bunch of people inside still. They're dropping oils. You're going to see some siege. You're going to see some lancers. And we're going to have to go back and forth between sieging and ramming and sieging and, you know, all the fun stuff. So at this point, we're just keeping our buffs up. See the tank goes into clown form. And we're just going to kind of pepper him here a little bit. And the goal with dealing with a tank, you know, with dealing with a tanky guy with running clown form is you want to get him as immediately once he comes out of clown form. You know, the Colossus is a transformation. And so what happens with the transformation is you transform into this thing. It's a couple seconds where you can't really do anything, but you gain health, so you can't die in the when you transform up. But when you transform down, you lose health, as well as you get those 1 to 2 seconds of not being able to do anything. And so it's the same thing for 3 different ultimates: Werewolf, Vampire, and Colossus, where you get those 1 to 2 seconds where you just can't respond. And so what I often do against people running the Colossus or something like that is I'll just wait until they transform out of it, and as soon as they transform out, that's when I ulti dump. And when you're dealing with those Harbinger tanks can't typically kill you when they're not in Colossus form. You know, when they're not in Goliath, like the Ravenous Goliath form, they can't normally kill you. And so you just wait out the Goliath. Once the Goliath goes down, that's when you drop them, and their healing is typically pretty low. They have high health and they're using the scythe, but if you do a really nice burst just as they're transforming out of it, it's going to be very, very hard for them to recover. Typically, like, a lot of them have a hard time recovering at that point, and so you end up doing a ton of damage and then they can't recover, and you end up killing them that way. I've killed plenty of Harbinger tanks solo in that regard, where you just wait for the transformation to end. If I'm in a 2 or 3 man group, we typically nuke them before they can CC break and they just die. So that's typically how you deal with those types of builds. That one, we just kind of bursted him when he came out of Colossus, and you know, he couldn't CC break because he stacks so much health. He doesn't have big stamina magic pools. You know, that just happens sometimes. So at this point, we're trying to ram the front door, trying to get inside. You see we have the Lancers coming down. You see we have the oils. We're just trying to get in the corner here, keep our resources up, all these other sorts of fun things. And yeah, so overall, pretty fun fight so far. You know, their bombers did a really good job of bombing. They did a good job of continually coming in and, you know, getting bodies up by either setting up a camp, getting the revives necessary. We did a good job staying coordinated together. It's just, you know, one person gets picked off, and then all of a sudden, you know, a fun 12v3, 12v4 turns into a 12v2, and it's, oh crap, we got a kite now. So yeah, overall, I feel like we've done pretty well so far in this fight, and we just gotta keep at it. So you see they keep dropping a bunch of oils. Luckily, Snuff has some ballista. He also has a ram, so we're gonna set up the ram here, and then we'll go to ballista, and then we'll just drop it from afar. But yeah, in Blackreach, this is what I found that you have to do. There's a very large conglomeration of EP and DC in this campaign, and in order to get some of these fights, you have to go take keeps. You got to push the map. They care about map objectives, and if you're not doing map objectives, if you're just taking a resource, you're not going to get the same fights that you would get in Greyhost. You know, if you watch my videos, my 1vx videos from last year when I was playing a lot in Greyhost, I would just go down to like Farragold Farm, and I would get fights there all the time. I would take Farragold Farm, people could show up, and I'd get fun fights. And you just have to up the ante a little bit. So instead of just taking a resource, maybe you take a couple resources, maybe you take 3 resources, maybe you burst the keep. You do what you got to do in order to get people to come fight you, you know, where you can actually get a pretty good fight. So they burned our rams, and now we're setting up ballista. You see we have a lancer in front of us to the right. You see we have a ballista behind us. I could go after the ballista behind us on the 3rd floor, but more often than not, it's probably a Nightblade, or it's somebody that's going to go sprinting as soon as they see somebody's running towards them. It's not really worth it, in my opinion. I'd rather stay grouped up with my teammates, make sure we can get our, you know, if somebody does get sniped out, if somebody does get bombed, we're right here. We're all grouped up to where we can coordinate and go to the same spot. And I value that over, you know, going to get 1 kill behind us. But you can make a case for either one. We know there's going to be a lot of people in the keep. We know that there's going to be a lot of people to fight, and so it's just better off staying coordinated. And the same thing as in the last video. Coordination is very important in PvP. You're going to see that we're going to get a lot of kills where people just get pulled out of position. You'll see a lot of top tier MMR players in Battlegrounds talk about position as well, where they talk about how they'll go after people that aren't in position with their teammates, and they get really easy kills off it. So their 4-man group is working very well together. All of a sudden they catch a couple people by themselves, makes an easy 4v2, 2 quick kills, and it narrows the fight and makes the fight a heck of a lot easier that way. And so at this point, I think Bong was on his phone or something, And so I'm like, Bong, I'm trying to help you, but I'm stam class. I can't heal you. So you see we got a meat bag on the door, and we got a few people coming in. We see we got a couple more sieges on the front pin. And so I'm just kind of looking around at this point. I want to see what's in the area. I see that there's ads. I want to make sure there's no bombers. We're going to go up top to we decided to go up top to the 3rd floor to take out the people sieging, see if we could kill those guys first and then come back. This is one of those out of position situations. So this guy's by himself. We got 4 people up here. You know, this isn't a glamorous kill or anything. It's, you know, it's 4 people versus 1. He was by himself. He gets caught off guard. And so at this point, we got 4 people up top here, and we're going to take out this guy. Same thing. You know, he didn't wait for his group. And so turns into another easy kill, and the same one for right here. So now we have a few people down, and we got a few more people coming in. And this is why you just want to take out those 1s and 2s really quickly, is because you want to knock them out before they get grouped up with everybody else. You know, when you have a large group of players like this, it gets progressively tougher to kill them individually. So I drop a DB here because that guy hadn't died yet, and you know how there's that cast time. Yeah, I ended up bursting everybody else to half health, but I went for the kill shot on the person that died right before my Dawnbreaker landed. So at that point, we got that kill, and I'm just killing ads. This guy's at half health, so we're just going to try and get a couple kills. I went to block the Crimson, but he already had it. This guy was in the back reviving, so we're just going to take out this guy again. He just got picked up. He's out of resources. You know, you're just not really recovering from that. So we're going to kill this guy. He's the last one left up here. And you see at this point they're going to be repairing the door, and I go in to try and bomb the door. So I summon a Blast Bones. It gets immediately negated, and my Blast Bones doesn't pop. And you see I probably could have gotten, I definitely would have gotten 1 kill, maybe 2 with just the Blast Bones DB. Really disappointing. I wanted to try and knock out everybody at the door. I wanted the pretty white, but yeah. NPCs weren't having any of that. They decided to negate my Blast Bones, and you know, GG. So at this point, we're just focusing people that are left. You know, we just had somebody come through the door. That was the last person in here, and now you see a bunch of people coming in, and we're just trying to focus people individually. This guy's spamming Radiant. He's at half health, so we're going to go in on that kill. Just as I go to drop my Dawnbreaker, I get CC'd, so I don't get to finish that kill. Once again, that's another situation where if I was running immovable pots, that would have been really nice. I could have wiped a few people at that door there. Probably would have allowed us to stay alive a lot easier, kill some more ads. You know, it would have controlled the fight a lot better. And so now at this point, you see the werewolf with Crimson on top of all of us. He's going to take a ton of healing, and you see a few more people up top. And so we're just going to back up. And this is where it's going to... 2 mistakes are going to happen here. One of them is by us, which is going to be happening right here. You know, we don't time our ultimate super well. That was a really bad Dawnbreaker on my part. The meteor landed a couple seconds after my Dawnbreaker. We should have waited until everybody had their ult dump, but you know, I knew there was a bunch of people going to be coming up, and I wanted to just take out the first few people right away. And I whiffed on a few of the guys because they managed to get past it before it landed. And yeah, it just wasn't a very good ult dump. That was our mistake. So now at this point, you see they're all up here by themselves, or they're all up here together. We got a bunch stacked now, and now at this point we have to stack ultimates. So you see we get negated right here. We got a few mag specs with us, and it's just we got a line of sight until we get our DB. I take a really nasty stun there from the snipe. I'm trying to fear. I got a meteor on me, a really delayed meteor, so I end up getting him killed, and I go to drop a DB right here. And the problem is I take this really nasty stun that I couldn't break. Like I broke it, and then I went back down into it, and then I died. And look at how many people Lynx and Snuff kill with their ult dump. We went to ulti dump that corner. They killed 3 people, which was really, really nice on their part. And if I could have just CC broke there when I CC broke on my character, I feel like we could have kept that going a little bit longer. I don't know if we win, but the fight gets delayed a little bit longer. You see Snuff and Lynx are still alive. They're cutting around the corner. You know, a few more people dead on that pin, you know, or on that corner maybe allows us to wipe the whole group. You never know. But yeah, overall, really fun fight. They're trying to line of sight. They're trying to stay alive. You know, we're all going to die here. So fun fight at Arrius. Good fight on both sides, in my opinion. If you guys like this video, please comment or let me know in the section below. I'll try and do more videos like this in the future. If you have any questions or comments, also, please provide them in the section below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.